All right, folks, welcome back. Cycling is over for a whole, well, actually there was a race yesterday, but I didn't, no, today. Just ended, but I didn't paint it. Adding to the debate about gifting bike races, or maybe ending the debate. So I'm back to this idea with the stamped and then painted images. So while walking the dogs today, I came up with the idea for this piece. You've heard the expression a New York minute. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny? I think it's funny. You might not. To do 60 Manhattans. You get the inference? 60 Manhattans, New York minute. They say the highest form of humor is a pun. I think it's just a function of being a dad. So I'm going to shift now to time lapse because I suspect this will take a little while. And then, if you remember the previous video, that one shifted a little bit, but that's not going to matter. I have a bunch that are printed already. So I have these two sizes. Hopefully that's in frame like this, that I'll then start painting shortly. So, I think I'm going slightly downhill. So in my usual, like you've probably noticed in the oil stick paintings, I don't, and in the cycling stuff, there's no pre-sketch, no pre-drawing, nothing like that. So in that vein, I didn't establish a grid for this. I did take some measurements to help determine how big of a piece of paper I needed. But I really feel like I'm going downhill. Let's see, so the paper is just off of level. And they are more just off of level. So yeah, I'm going downhill. But we can correct that. So anyway, I'll switch now to time lapse and get my 60 Manhattans up there. So as you can probably tell, I got a problem. I thought I'd done the measurements right. I now know I'm going to have to, but then again, depending on your feeling of Manhattan and the true meaning of the expression in New York minute, it not being 60 kind of adds to the joke, really. Yeah, I'm going to go with that's what I meant to do. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 6. He's good at math, 48. It's not 60. So, yeah, still going to look cool. And the title will be maybe that much funnier. So if it was 7 by 8, it would be 40, be more than 60. No, still be less. Oh well, whatever. Yeah, and I say I'm good at math. So back to just finishing printing these. So since I started this video, a whole lot has gone on. A couple of bike races, and then the personal life. My wife's had surgery. It was a knee revision, which is a difficult and complicated surgery. So there's been a whole lot of caregiving and not a whole lot of big painting in the studio. This is the first time I've been in the studio, well, obviously since I started these videos, so for almost a month. I wanted to get back to this New York Minute piece, which, so, of course, you've already seen me do the printing part of this. So now, of course, the advantage is I've had plenty of drying time here for these Manhattans. So I'm not going to have to worry about the ink moving at all. Conversely, paint sticks are a little dry, so they're having a bit of a problem. But I've been thinking about how I'm going to do this. So I think you can see these were some that were brush painted. There's a video of that. These were all oil stick. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the oil stick. Let's see my orange oil stick. Or paint stick to use the, there it is. Paint stick to use the company name. But, and I've been playing around with the idea of the shadow like these. You know, the shadow's all one way. Yeah, basically, I don't totally know what I'm doing yet, and that is not a bad thing. So I've been debating whether I'm going to sort of work my way through and do them all at the same time, or do all of one and do all of the next one, kind of like that. The latter is my inclination. Because, you know, I do some stained glass, but I don't like production work. You know, where you, that's why I've never been able to be like, you know, do those outdoor shows and such, because the thought of doing the same thing over and over and over, says the guy who's going to be doing 48 Manhattans, doesn't appeal to me. But, you know, we'll see how this goes. So, yeah, but, you know, so it's also why I don't do prints very much. Because the idea, again, of that, you know, it's the image, it's the new piece that intrigues me. What I'm working on, what's new, that investigation. I've got plenty of ideas. I've got like 5 paintings stuck in my head right now. And so prints are always like, well, you know, there's that. Working with the same image over and over is what I'm trying to say, is not my strong suit. So there's another thing is, you know, don't stay in your comfort zone all the time, which is kind of the idea behind these pieces is, as I just said, I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. Therefore, let's do the same thing over and over again. Pourquoi pas? So rather than have you watch me do each one of these in real time, excuse me, I'm going to switch over to time lapse, see how this goes, see what I get moving forward. Because I'm, and so I think doing each one separately is going to create a more potent image. That each one will be its own painting. And that'll be better. He says, stumbling over and over again. And so, like I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. So you're going to have to watch with me. We'll discover it together. So if you give me a second, I'll switch this back over to time lapse and we'll see where it goes. All right, the first row of what, 8, 9, however many to go. So I thought I'd come in and let you see one or two of these happen in real time. So it's, other than some of the black popping through from the ink, it's a really kind of hard to see the original image, which to my mind is a good thing, because like I said earlier before we switched, is I'm not all that interested in repetition. I'm not I have great admiration for people who can do that, ceramists and other more craft-oriented people, but printmakers and such, to work on the same image. And I'm truly not trying to disparage that. It's just not the way I work and the way my mind works. How many years ago now? 10, 15 years ago, I decided, being a mailman, carrying the mail is probably a really good gig. It's reliable. You know how much money you're going to make each week. And, that would probably be a good gig. And it didn't take me long to figure out that wasn't my mindset. So, because it was very repetitive. Now, you can probably guess from the Manhattans here that instead I bartend, because while it can get, repetitive, every night is different, everything is different, and so it is. So, it was a good thing that I did the mail, because it was the only job I ever had where every day was the same. Like, they had the salary job position I had was a scenic artist. And that was different every time too, different shows, different stylistic, what either I was a designer or there were other designers, and we were always trying to do something new and different, and I was discovering and exploring, and I think that may be, how I know who I am is I need to always be doing something different. Maybe it is ADHD. I hear that the news just came on the radio, so I'm going to turn that off for a second. Give me a sec. But where was I going with that? So it's important to know yourself and know where your interests lie and what holds your attention. And I'm actually having a little bit of concern about this image because I'm going to be doing this little Manhattan glass over and over and over again. Am I going to be able to sustain this? I mean, the answer is yes. But, it's like, that's the thing. Of course, it's the same routine, but, there's a lot of variation. And the variation, it's the differences within the similarities should be what makes this painting interesting. Clearly, that remains to be seen. But this is part of the appeal of this piece to me. And can I work against my own inclination? Wow. Sometimes I have to reword a sentence because I can't remember how to spell a word, but suddenly I can't remember how to pronounce it. Inclinations. There we go. So this piece is a little bit of it's a stylistic departure or a stylistic callback. In comedy, a big part of building a good routine is building what's called a callback, where you circle back around to an initial premise or a punchline. You call back to that punchline and reuse it later, called a callback. And in many ways, this piece is a callback to earlier things I did. I talked about that in the earlier processes. So I'm pleased with where this is going. I hope. So here's the questions. Do you think this is worth pursuing? What do you think of this idea? Is this something, I lately have been doing, the big exhibition I did called 2020 was very much a statement pieces. It was about something. It was, I had something to say. And we all had something to say after 2020, right? So I thought it might be nice to just do a piece for the sake of doing it, right? Although even this piece has a little bit of a thematic something to it. But, and I've got some other ideas I'm exploring. The piece pouring it out. There we go. Is looking, sort of reinterpreting, investigating some of the stylistic ideas in famous paintings and how can I bring those into my own vocabulary. And so this is a bit of a departure from that. So, and I've done the little small ones. I'm not sure that went the way I wanted it to, but I kind of like it. Again, like I've talked with watercolors, you have to be prepared to accept the mistakes in watercolors. Now this, I can scrape it off. I can give it time to dry and paint back over it. There are ways to fix mistakes, but that's not always the best course of action. So, and I know a lot of people, I know I used to worry about it when I was young. Like, I have very specific memories of like, I was doing a work of art. Such a matter was a strip club, but it was, I'd seen the Hoppers strip club piece, Edward Hopper, and I was taken with it, so I wanted to see if I could do something. This was, I was 19, 20, somewhere in there. But the point being that I had to put 3 or 4 people in a single painting, and I had never done that before. And I was very worried, but what happens if you succeed beautifully with 2 of the figures and the final figure just got awful? I mean, what happens? What do you do? And that was such a strong memory. And now so much of my work is so many figures. And, I have one collector who just loves, like, he's got one piece and he's like, the painting contains the best hand I've ever drawn, painted, and the worst one I've ever done. And he just loves that they're in the same painting. He finds that fabulous. So there, I didn't like that bit of dark right in there. So by laying the white over, and now we've totally lost the edge of the Manhattan glass, which is totally fine. The instructor I had in college, the one that really, we made the connection, and he understood that these were paintings. I had instructors who was like, well, if you're not using a brush and a tube of paint, it's not a painting, which is ludicrous. But, and he was all about, you have to lose the object, was one of his big points, where what is background, what is image, that you have to actually lose the delineation between the two. And that's really because I want to let you, the viewer, complete the painting. This was just watching a documentary. Since we've been in a convalescent mode, we've been watching a lot of documentaries. And that was a big part of Seurat's work, was the whole idea of persistence of vision and color, and how images, how you can enhance the color by putting complements next to each other and making the eye find it and making the eye finish the building of the color. And so the same thing with the shape, we can see images and we can see where they are without seeing all of it. And, a lot of times, that's a lot of reading. You misread because you just see the gist of a word and you go, oh, that's that word. I know that word. And so you finish it in your head without actually looking at all of it. At least I do that. It's part of the idea behind speed reading, right? Of course, you're frequently wrong. So I'm going to stop this here pretty soon. So I want to remind you to, if you like what you watch and you want to see this painting as it comes to fruition, to subscribe, give a like. I'd love to hear what you think about this idea. Is this something that's working? I mean, I'm going to follow it through whether you think it's working or not. But still, it is always nice to get feedback. Obviously, constructive is far more important, far more useful than destructive criticism. But if you want to give it a thumbs down or tell me I suck, go ahead. But here's the caveat to that. You got to defend it. You got to say why. You got to say what isn't working. Or what would you have done? You know, it's easy to tear down when you can't offer a solution. We won't stroll into politics after that statement. So anyway, again, so give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you can see the work as it happens. Thanks for taking the time to watch this one. Sorry there was literally 3 months from the start of this video to this initial conclusion of the video. Obviously not the conclusion of the painting. And you can see the rest of my work at my website, greigleach.com. Should be up in the bio on this page as well. And most of the work you see on this YouTube channel is for sale. Of course, obviously, they're not for sale until they're finished. Although, if somebody wants to buy this one now, before it's finished, you can call dibs. And we can work that out. I'll invoice you through PayPal. So, thanks for taking the time to watch. Remember, paint what you know what you paint, or know what you paint and paint what you know. And hopefully you like what you paint and you paint what you like. I don't really like Manhattans, but I don't drink that much hard liquor. I just pour a lot of it. All right, thanks again. Talk to y'all soon. Bye now.